You saw the title. I meant it. My redesign of Marinette increases the toxicity of the same trait many people have hated her character for. So you're probably wondering, why? Well, I don't think Marinette being a creepy stalker made her a bad character. When I say bad character, I don't mean bad person. They're not the same thing, as you can have a good character that is a bad person. For example, Homelander. So what I mean is, the show could have still made that toxic trait work in the character if they didn't make Marinette a Mary Sue, depicting her in an overly positive light, therefore glorifying this side of her, and then making a last-minute excuse for it because of the backlash. My redesign of her is to make her a flawed but good character. I was slightly inspired to do this because of an old gacha yandere AU I made of her when I was a gacha tuber. She was a straight up psycho in it. But the reason why my redesign wouldn't be the same as how I made her in my AU is because I didn't want her to be completely bad. So I balanced both designs of her character in my old AU and from the original. If you want, you can watch the AU on my old channel. I'll put the link in my description. I also want to mention I aged up Marinette and the rest to 16 because I'm kind of shocked the characters are canonically 13 and ended the show at 14 because they looked and acted so much older than that. You can't convince me that Kim is 14. That is a man. In all seriousness though, I know some people look older than their age, but most 14-year-olds look like this, not this. And since my redesign of Marinette makes her even more of a stalker, I'm more comfortable making her 16. So sit back, relax, and please watch me ramble. In my redesign of the story, I would scratch out how the show portrayed Marinette in the beginning as not so popular and clumsy, and instead show how she was popular from the beginning. So in my version, she's the school's sweetheart. Everyone sees her as sweet, caring, confident, bold, smart, and responsible. She'd also regularly bring her class treats from her bakery. Marinette is a fashion designer, so she would wear clothes that make her stand out more. And since she has designed for famous people in their universe, I think people would always be surrounding her, so she'd be popular even outside of school. But even with her perfect image, Marinette in reality is a perfectionist. So she is overly critical of herself and gets very anxious, which causes her to lose herself at times, because she feels a huge pressure to maintain her status at the top. This feeling becomes worse when she's chosen to become Ladybug, so she's no longer a local celebrity but has the whole world watching her. In my version, she was obsessed with Adrien before he even attended their school because of his perfect image, so that makes her want to be with him. Because of her talent and the design she's already made for some celebrities, Gabriel would have noticed her and taken her under his wing, like an apprentice. So that's how she'd start to understand Adrien's routine and stalk him. But she barely talked to him, and when they did talk, it was for designing clothes for him to model. She wasn't able to have a full conversation with him because of Gabriel. So it wasn't until he started going to their school that she started to befriend him and was able to know him more on a personal level. I would also make Marinette's obsession with Adrien and Gabriel's obsession with Emily to parallel each other. I mean, even though their cases are different, their obsessions are both equally unhealthy. I think it would be cool to show a hero and a villain share the same toxic behavior, then portray how they end up dealing with it differently in the end. Now, before we continue, using Duolingo actually worked! Now I am fluent in French, si, or regarde. J'ai eu beaucoup de styles artistiques différents au fil des ans, mais pour l'instant, j'en ai 5. Mon style semi-réaliste, mon style cartoon, mon style entre semi-réaliste et cartoony que j'appelle l'hybride et mon style Mips. Cependant, l'une de mes amies artistes dans Thank you, Greenbird, for all those creepy widgets keeping me in check to start a lesson and your persistent emails. But wait, I can speak Spanish too. Estilos de arte. Pero ahora quiero iniciar una serie webtoon y no puedo usar el semi-realista ni el híbrido porque voy a tener que representar mucho. Así que no sería capaz de hacerlo más allá de un capítulo. Okay, I lied. That wasn't me. Except it kind of was. Thanks to Rask AI, I can translate my videos into multiple languages. And you can too by clicking the link in my description and pinned comment. The process is very quick and simple. All you have to do is click my link then make an account with Rask AI. You can upload 3 1-minute long videos for free as a start. But for more features, it's best to pick a plan. Once you've done that, upload a video you want to to translate, you can upload it from your computer directly, or you can paste its link from YouTube or Google Drive. You can change your project name and select the number of speakers, but it's best if you leave it on auto detect. The same goes for original language. Then select the language you want to translate it to. If you want, you can upload your own subtitles. After it's finished translating it, you can see the text of what it's translated, and you can edit it if you want. But if you're happy with the results, you can download it. I'm showing you the free trial, so what I can download is limited. And voila, that's it. Now back to the video. In my version, Alia isn't Marinette's best friend. Well, at least not in the beginning, because she has a theory she's Ladybug, and since she has the Ladybug, she wants to find out if her suspicion is true. My reason for them not being friends in the beginning is because in the original, Alia is like the voice of reason. Well, she used to be anyway, until the writing ruined her. But anyway, she's someone Marinette could always vent to in the show. So for them to not be close while Marinette is having so many personal issues would be interesting to see, and it will be easier to show how much Marinette can spiral, and despite having so many people around her, actually feels alone, because she's never shown anyone who she really is. With Lila, originally, everyone dismissed Marinette's distrust for her as jealousy. I mean, yes, in the beginning she was indeed jealous of her because she was getting close to Adrien, but then her dislike for her became justified when she found out Lila was a bad person. So in my redesign, I would want it to be true Marinette is purely jealous of Lila, because Lila is challenging her position at the top. But don't worry, Lila would still be a liar and a master manipulator, but Marinette's jealousy would be highlighted as the main reason why she hates Lila so much. Chloe in my version isn't Marinette's bully. She's still spoiled and rude at times, but isn't as controlling or malicious. She still doesn't like Marinette though, because her mom keeps comparing her to her, but Marinette keeps trying to win Chloe over because Chloe's close to Adrien. I also want to clarify that in my version, Chloe only likes Adrien platonically, and is very protective over him, so Marinette would be trying her best to make Chloe like her, so she'd invite her to hang out with her and Adrien. I mentioned already Marinette starts to get closer with Adrien when he enrolls in her school, but even though they're friends, they aren't close friends. Because 1. Adrien wants to blend in as he doesn't really want much attention, so he tries to avoid being close to Marinette, who is popular, and 2. Because he's a little jealous of Marinette because she's close with Gabriel, and he feels like Gabriel sees her more like his child than him. Adrien is friends with Nino, Alia, Sabrina, and Chloe. They have this tight circle, so like I mentioned already, Marinette tries to be really nice to Chloe so she can be part of their friend group. Adrien would still dress nice, but he'd wear clothes that make him blend in more. This is to contrast more with how Marinette's outfit stands out more. So Adrien tries really hard to be ordinary, while Marinette tries really hard to be in the spotlight. A little funny thing though, is that when Adrien tries to be discreet, because he's a model, the way he walks, his posture, and his stance still make him stand out more. But anyway, Marinette would feel frustrated because it's easy for people to flock to her, but Adrien is so distant, so it constantly feels like she can't reach him. Of course, this would be similar to Adrien, well, Catnoir's feelings towards Ladybug, where he tries so hard to be close to her, but she still feels so far away. I also want to explain why Marinette feels so much pressure to be perfect. The reason why is because she was bullied when she was younger, and the prank that Kim and Chloe pulled in the original also happens in my version, except Chloe isn't part of it. So her trauma from that drives her to want to be perfect and date the perfect guy, who she believed was the image she had of Adrien. With Master Fu, I actually like the idea of him being an irresponsible master. If you watch his backstory, it actually fits him to be incompetent for the role, and it's a little boring seeing the wise old Chinese master so many times. In my version, he'd not even be bothered to look for new holders, because he'd just be spending all day watching TV. But then one day, he sees both Marinette and Adrien on TV, so in his mind he's like, wait, children are pure, they're kids, and they're on TV. So they must be good people and be worthy enough to hold the two most powerful miraculouses. Also, Master Fu would have also seen Lila on TV, and he'd think the same thing, so he'd think she's good enough to have the Fox Miraculous. He would have also seen Alia's blog and given her the Horse Miraculous. I think that Miraculous suits her since it has the power of teleportation, and as a reporter, she'd have to be in a lot of places. She uses the power to help Ladybug and Cat Noir sometimes, when she sees the threat they're fighting is really strong, and she also uses it to spy on Marinette and Ladybug. Master Fu would also fail to train them, and be like a deadbeat master. So Ladybug, Catnoir, and Alia would have to constantly force him to train them. I haven't come up with a superhero name for Alia, so you can suggest in the comments. Now before we continue the plot, I want to talk about the physical redesign of Marinette. I decided to make Marinette into the coquette aesthetic, since canonically her favorite color is pink, and my version of her is very intentional in appearing cute and friendly. I also wanted to make her freckles more noticeable because I rarely saw them in the show. For her Ladybug costume, I wanted it to have like a Victorian lady vibe with some Chinese influences and some armor for protection. If you read my community posts, you might recognize the sketch for the Ladybug redesign because I posted it along with a second design asking for suggestions on which one to pick. So I want to thank everyone who helped me. I ended up going with the one most of you picked and it came out great. And finally, I wanted to draw how she looks when she panics or gets frustrated, when things aren't as perfect as she wants them to be. Overall, I'm very happy with the final design. She looks really cool and pretty. If I saw her by first glance, I would imagine she's very popular. She looks like a nice person and very confident in what she's wearing, but if you look at her hands, you can see she's a little fidgety, like something's on her mind. And if you look closer at her eyes, they look distant. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, plus comment what you think of her design. Later on in the show, he kind of just dips completely and leaves all the Miraculouses with both Ladybug and Catnoir. He also leaves some books for them to research more. Because of his absence, even before he left them completely, they'd get actual training from their past holders. They'll be looking for their portraits, and it'll be interesting seeing the different holders and how each advice they give them makes them stronger. Lila works with Gabriel just like in the original show, so he's like her master and teaches her how to use her powers, which is kind of ironic since even though he's the villain, he's a better master than Master Fu. Tiki as a character isn't really so interesting. Even when I was obsessed with MLB when I was younger, I never really liked her. I didn't hate her or anything, but she was so bland that I didn't pay much attention to her. Unlike Plague, who despite being a cat is a freaking goat. So to make her more interesting, I would make Tiki have toxic positivity. Like when Marinette is feeling really anxious, having panic attacks, etc., Tiki would try to calm her down but not in a helpful way. Like she would say things like, "Marinette, everyone loves you, so why are you panicking? Your life is perfect, so you shouldn't be sad." And saying things like that just ends up triggering Marinette more, and she also 100% supports Marinette on anything she does, despite her knowing better. Like she sees Marinette's unhealthy obsession with Adrien, but instead of condemning it, she encourages it and sometimes helps her spy on him. Of course, I would also want her character to end up growing and maturing like Marinette. When Master Fu leaves them completely, which would be in Season 2, that will make Ladybug and Catnoir reveal their identities to one another, since they'd both be in charge of keeping the Miraculouses safe, so in case of emergencies they know where to retrieve them. So when they do, Marinette kind of loses it when she sees Adrien as Catnoir, because the perfect image of him she was so obsessed with wasn't really him, so it causes her to kind of go insane. Adrien is also not completely excited that Ladybug is Marinette, because like I said before, he's kind of jealous of her because of her close relationship with his dad. So the rest of Season 2 would be of Marinette having to come to terms with her unhealthy obsession and seeing Adrien as a person. At this point, Alia figured out her identity and things happen, so she ends up being friends with Marinette. So Marinette would have her to vent to and she helps her become a better person. At the same time, Adrien also brings himself to talk to Marinette about his own jealousy of her, and the two of them decide to confront Gabriel about him not spending enough time with Adrien. This makes Gabriel agree to be more present in his life. So after all that, Marinette and Adrien become closer friends and she finally becomes part of their friend group. There would still be romance between them, but they don't start developing feelings until in the middle of Season 3, when Marinette has really grown as a person, so it will be healthy. Though it takes some time for them to actually be together, maybe towards the end of Season 4, because Adrien doesn't want things to be awkward now that they're friends, especially since she already rejected him so many times as Catnoir, and Marinette does not completely trust herself to be in a relationship with him because of how she stalked him before. I think this is a good way of dragging the will they, won't they trope without it being exhausting. Since their reasons for not being together are actually reasonable, and the audience would actually want to see Marinette have a healthy platonic relationship with Adrien before anything more happens. For the ending, remember how I said it would be interesting to show a hero and a villain share the same toxic behavior, then portray how they end up dealing with it differently in the end? Well, Gabriel never got over his obsession with bringing his wife back. Even when Adrien confronts him in the end, he still chooses to continue his plan because he believes he's doing the right thing for Adrien too by bringing back his mom, and even tries to manipulate Marinette into giving him her miraculous, saying something like this: "I have done so much for you. I just want you to do this one thing."
You're like a daughter to me, Marinette. I wish my son was half as smart as you are, because I know you would understand why I must do this.
But they still end up defeating him and he goes to jail. Natalie and his aunt will take care of Adrien. While Gabriel's in prison, he does go through therapy and tries to repair his relationship with Adrien. I actually don't hate the sentimental twist they went with Adrien and Felix, so I think I wouldn't change that. I would also allow Catnoir's staff to be like Ladybug's yo-yo, in the sense that he can get rid of the Akuma, just so they are more like equals. Because Ladybug in the original can fight without Catnoir, but not vice versa. So in my version, Catnoir can also get rid of the Akuma, but he prefers not to unless for emergencies, because when he uses his staff, it destroys the Akumas completely, unlike Ladybug's yo-yo, which turns them into normal butterflies. I think Gabriel's regular design is fine. I didn't redesign him, but if I did, I would redesign his villain suit. Gabriel is meant to have the butterfly Miraculous, yet his villain name is Hawkmoth, which doesn't make sense to me. So I decided to change his name to Purple Emperor, which is an actual butterfly that feeds on rotting corpses. So it's pretty fitting for a villain. Now let's talk about Adrien's physical redesign. His clothes were designed by Marinette, and she actually wanted him to have more pastel clothes, so they would be matching, but he refused and told her he wanted a dark academia aesthetic, so she reluctantly went with that. But she still wanted to give him at least a cardigan, because like I already mentioned, she wanted them to match so they look like a couple, but he refused to wear that as well, and instead wanted a turtleneck. The reason why is because it's light, so it'd be easier for him to wear a hoodie over it when he goes to school. I didn't change Catnoir's design much because I already liked it so much. I just changed a few things and gave his hair green highlights. For the final drawing, I was experimenting with his hair, so comment if you think I should render hair more like this. And I wanted him to look sad because he was feeling guilty about having to use his staff on an Akuma. Overall, I'm happy with my design of him. I mentioned earlier that even though he tries to blend in, he still stands out because of the way he carries himself. In the drawing, he has his hoodie on, but he still has like a model aura because he looks like he's striking for a pose, even though he's just trying to be regular. Comment what you think of the designs and if you want me to make a part 2, redesigning Olya and Purple Emperor, and maybe some more characters. Thank you for staying this long. Please like and subscribe to become a Mipsy. It has been scientifically proven that when you become one, good things happen to you. Don't believe me? Try it right now.